I want you to imagine a scenario. Let's say it's a Tuesday morning.
Okay.
You are a business owner in a mid-sized city. And you have spent the last 10 years just sweat and blood to get your Google ranking to #1.
Right. The classic hustle.
Exactly. You've done the SEO, you bought the backlinks, you've written, 100 blog posts about top 10 tips for plumbing in winter.
And it worked.
It worked. You are the king of the hill in your specific niche.
Yeah.
You look at your metrics and you feel entirely safe.
And that feeling of safety is exactly where the danger is.
Right. Because while you are high-fiving yourself over your Google Analytics traffic from last month, a potential customer picks up their phone.
Yeah.
But, and here's the kicker, they do not open Google.
Nope. They open an AI agent.
Right. Maybe it's the latest ChatGPT, maybe it's Gemini, or maybe it's a localized agent on their smart glasses. They just speak into the void and ask for a recommendation. And you don't exist.
Complete digital silence.
The AI doesn't recommend you. It doesn't even know you're there. Instead, it sends that customer who has their credit card literally in their hand, ready to buy, to a competitor in a different city entirely.
I mean, it sounds like a horror story for marketers, but this is the reality we're staring down.
Yeah.
The source material we are doing a deep dive into today describes a very specific moment in time, February 2026, and it outlines a massive structural shift in consumer behavior. We just aren't typing keywords into a search bar anymore. We are having conversations with machines.
And those machines are not looking at websites the way we used to. So today we're unpacking a fascinating case study called the London AI Ready Initiative coming out of London, Ontario.
Yes.
And honestly, when I first read the title, I thought, okay, another municipal tech project, probably a PDF that no one actually reads.
Right, the usual bureaucratic stuff.
Exactly. But this is completely different. They're building something called an entity mesh.
It is different. It is arguably one of the most sophisticated responses to the death of traditional SEO that I've seen anywhere. They are actively trying to mathematically anchor an entire city's economy so that the AI fundamentally has to see it.
Mathematically anchoring. I absolutely love that phrase, even if it scares me just a little bit. So our mission today for this deep dive is to unpack this. We're going to look at why established businesses are suddenly becoming invisible, what this mesh actually is, and this really unusual Robin Hood economic model they've built to fund the whole thing.
That funding model is the linchpin. But, well, before we get to the solution, we have to understand the core problem. The documents refer to it as economic leakage.
Which sounds like a plumbing issue, or maybe something you go see a doctor about.
Yeah.
But I assume we're talking about cash leaving the city.
We are. Capital flight. And to understand why it's happening, you have to understand how the game has completely changed. For the last 20 years, we lived in the era of the search engine.
Right.
Google was basically a librarian. It indexed websites.
Yeah.
If your website had the right keywords on the page, like plumber in London or lawyer in Ontario, the librarian just pulled your book off the shelf and handed it to the user. Simple, readable, human.
Exactly. Human-centric. But AI agents, tools like Perplexity or whatever's running in your home, they aren't librarians. They're reasoning engines.
Okay.
They do not just read websites. They rely on something called the global knowledge graph. They need structured, machine-verifiable data.
Okay, let's pause right there because machine verifiable comes up a lot in these documents, and I want to challenge you on this a bit.
Sure.
My website is in English. The AI obviously speaks English. Why can't it just read my About Us page and figure it out?
Because to an AI, English is incredibly ambiguous. It's messy. If your website says, we offer great rates, the AI does not know what that means.
Oh, I see.
Is it a fixed price? Is it an hourly rate? Are you just saying that as a marketing slogan? Machine verifiable means wrapping your actual data in code, specifically schema markup.
Schema markup.
Right. It explicitly tells the machine, this is a price, $100, or this is a location, London, or this is a verified service. It translates the human language into absolute math. So if my website is just a beautifully written novel without that code underneath.
To the AI's logic centers, it basically looks like unstructured noise. It's fuzz. And this is where the acute danger lies. The source text highlights a really critical distinction here.
Which is?
Most businesses in London, Ontario, and frankly, most mid-sized cities everywhere have websites built exclusively for humans. They completely lack this underlying data infrastructure.
So when I sit in my living room in London and ask my AI, find me the best commercial lawyer in town, what actually happens in the background.
The AI looks at the local geographic data, sees a bunch of unstructured noise, gets confused, and experiences what data scientists call a confidence drop.
It doesn't want to give a bad answer.
Exactly. And AI hates being wrong. So to regain confidence, it expands its search radius to where it does find perfectly structured, verifiable data.
Which is usually where?
Bigger markets, the Greater Toronto area, the U.S., places where competitors just have deeper pockets and better tech stacks.
Wow. So the AI basically says to itself, I'm not entirely sure about this local guy in London because his data is fuzzy, but here is a verified, mathematically structured entity in Toronto that I trust 100%.
Precisely. And that is the economic leakage. The contract, the local foot traffic, the cap, it just bleeds out of the local economy.
That is wild.
It's not because the local service is worse. It's strictly because the local service is digitally invisible to the reasoning engine.
That is terrifying if you're a local business owner. And I assume the knee-jerk reaction is to say, well, I'll just SEO harder, I'll write more blogs, I'll buy more Google ads.
Yes, and the documents are incredibly clear on this point. Traditional SEO does not fix this issue, period.
You can't just buy your way out of it with keywords.
You cannot keyword stuff your way into a knowledge graph. It requires a fundamental ground-up infrastructure upgrade. You have to translate your business into entity data. You have to stop the AI from hallucinating.
Hallucinating is such a great term in this context. It basically means the AI is just guessing, right?
Right. If the data isn't structured, the AI guesses who you are, what you do, and where you are. And usually, it guesses wrong. The entire goal of this London initiative is to make the business machine verifiable. No guessing. Just cold, hard facts that the AI can trust blindly.
Okay, so we have high-intent buyers leaving traditional Google for AI search. We have local businesses getting bypassed because they speak human instead of machine. Enter the solution outlined in the source. The London Entity Mesh.
This is where we get into the really cool Civic tech side of things. The goal isn't just to fix one business in isolation. The goal is to build a network of 100 nodes across the city.
Why 100? Is that just a nice round number for a press release?
No, it's actually about signal density. The source talks a lot about creating a gravity well.
A gravity well, like in physics.
Sort of. Think of it this way. If one person stands in a massive stadium and screams, no one really hears them. But if 100 people stand in a tight, concentrated cluster and scream in perfect unison, you create a signal spike. A spike that is mathematically impossible for the algorithm to ignore.
So they're essentially trying to shout at the AI.
In a way, yes. If you have 100 interconnected businesses and they are all cross-referencing each other with high-quality structured entity data, you force the AI to recognize London, Ontario as a distinct high-confidence economic zone.
It's almost like herd immunity for digital economics.
That is a perfect analogy.
Exactly.
But let's talk about who is actually in this herd. Because usually when you see a big tech rollout in a city, it's basically just whoever can pay the most gets the best toys. But they've structured this London initiative very differently.
They really have. The initiative breaks the target audience down into two very specific interdependent groups, the sponsors and the sponsored.
Okay, let's break that down. The sponsors are the SMEs, small and medium enterprises.
Correct. These are the established players in the city, the big law firms, the manufacturers, the established tech companies, the ones with actual money.
Right. They have real marketing budgets, they have multiple departments, and frankly, they have the absolute most to lose if they start bleeding market share to Toronto. They desperately need to protect their brand authority from the AI shift.
And then on the other side, you have the sponsored group, the micro businesses.
Yes. Solopreneurs, local mom and pop shops, the really tiny operators who are vital to the community feel of the city, but who usually completely lack the capital or the tech skills to do this kind of advanced data upgrade themselves.
And this leads us to what the sources call the community flywheel, or the one-to-one sponsorship model. This is the part that really made me sit up. This is the Robin Hood moment of the deep dive.
It is a fascinating economic experiment. The rule of the mesh is simple. Every single time an SME pays for their own core upgrade, which they call the Gen Search infrastructure, their fee automatically provisions and fully funds a node for a micro business.
Wait, hold on. It's a literal buy one, give one model for enterprise tech.
Yes. In the B2B tech world, that is almost unheard of. Usually, you pay your massive fee, you get your SaaS product, and that is the end of the transaction.
Right.
But here, if I am a large manufacturer in London, my investment doesn't just build my own digital defenses. It literally pulls a local coffee shop or a freelance designer up the tech ladder right alongside me.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. If I am the CEO of that manufacturing firm, why do I actually care? I mean, sure, it's super nice to have the coffee shop down the street, but is there a strategic reason for me to do this? Or is this just forced corporate charity?
It is absolutely strategic. Remember the gravity well we just talked about?
Yeah, the screaming in the stadium.
Exactly. The manufacturing firm physically needs the coffee shop to be verified too.
Explain that connection for me.
AI agents look for patterns, and they look for connections to verify reality. If a manufacturer is just an isolated island of good data in a massive sea of digital noise, the AI is still somewhat skeptical of the location itself. But if the manufacturer is connected to the coffee shop down the street and the graphic designer next door and the local bakery, and they all have perfectly verified location data, the confidence score for the entire neighborhood shoots up.
So I am not just being charitable. I am actively strengthening the network that proves I exist.
Precisely. If the micro businesses get wiped out by AI invisibility, the city slowly becomes a digital ghost town. And a ghost town hurts the big SMEs too. By ensuring the smallest players survive this digital transition, the big players protect the local economic ecosystem that ultimately supports them.
And there's a third beneficiary in this model too, which is just brilliant. The sources mention that a portion of that initial setup fee also funds youth tech literacy scholarships.
Right, through JASW, that is Junior Achievement Southwestern Ontario.
So it's literally a triple win.
It really is. The SME gets the essential infrastructure, the microbusiness gets the tech lifeline, and local students get the education to understand all this stuff moving forward.
It's incredibly clever. It effectively incentivizes the big companies to be good civic citizens while selling them the exact tech survival gear they desperately need anyway.
Win, win, win.
So let's get into the nuts and bolts of what they are actually building, because the document clearly differentiates between the two tiers of tech. You mentioned the GenSearch infrastructure for the SMEs. That sounds intense.
It is very intense. That is the Tier 2 core node. This is specifically designed for businesses with high complexity. Multiple services, different departments, various service areas.
So how did they build it?
The process they use is called the AAA protocol. It stands for Assess, Architect, Amplify. And it is a full 90-day build.
Whoa, 90 days. So this isn't just a WordPress plugin you click and install over the weekend.
No, absolutely not. It is core infrastructure. The assess phase alone is a deep dive forensic look into the business's current scattered data state.
Finding out where the leaks are.
Exactly. Then architect is where they actually write the schema markup and define the entities. They are essentially building a mathematically perfect digital mirror of the physical business. And finally, Amplify is the process of pushing that verified mirror out into the global knowledge graph.
Okay, but what about the micro businesses? The Tier 1 edge node? Surely the freelance graphic designer isn't going through a massive 90-day data audit.
No, that would be total overkill. For them, the solution is called the AI business card.
An AI business card. I really like that image. Very clean.
It is lightweight and fast. It is designed specifically for a solopreneur, but the limitation is really important to note here. The source explicitly states that a Tier 1 node physically cannot hold SME-level data. It is restricted.
Restricted how?
It supports exactly one core service and one location.
Oh, I get it. So if I am a corporate conglomerate with 6 different divisions, I can't just cheat the system and buy the cheap Tier 1 card?
You literally can't. The data structure simply won't hold your complex info. It would be like trying to write the entire text of War and Peace on a single Post-it note.
But for the local freelancer, the Post-it note, the AI business card, is totally enough.
It is exactly enough to be verified. It is enough to stop the AI from hallucinating. It establishes that crucial baseline machine verifiable status, so the reasoning engine knows definitively this person exists. They do graphic design. They operate in London, Ontario.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's talk money. Because even with the Robinhood model doing the heavy lifting, someone ultimately has to pay the piper. What is the cost of entry here?
For the SMEs, the base cost is a flat fee of $5,000 Canadian. That covers the entire 90-day AAA protocol build.
$5,000. I mean, for a serious enterprise, that is not a huge budget breaker, but it's not nothing either.
True. But here's where they introduce what they call stackable discounts, and it's a very smart behavioral push. They offer a 30% case study grant right off the top.
And how do you get that?
If the business is simply willing to share their before and after visibility metrics publicly.
Ah, okay. So if you let them use your success data to prove the mesh works, you get a massive discount. They are essentially buying your proof.
Yes. And then on top of that, there is the economic growth grant. That is another 20% off.
Okay, and what is the catch for that one?
You have to be an active member of a trusted local network. The source specifically lists the London Chamber of Commerce, the LEDC, which is the London Economic Development Corporation or Tech Alliance.
Why those specific groups? Is it just a perks club thing? Like, join the local business club, get a coupon code.
No, it's not just a perk. There's a deep technical reason for this. From an expert view, these organizations actually act as high-trust data nodes.
High-trust data nodes. Break that down for me, because that sounds important.
Think about how an AI decides who to actually trust. If a random standalone website claims, I am a legitimate award-winning business, the AI is inherently skeptical. It's just a claim.
Right. Anyone can type that.
Exactly. But if the local Chamber of Commerce, which is already a verified, highly authoritative digital entity, publishes a link that says, yes, this business is a verified member in good standing, the AI's trust score for that business absolutely skyrockets.
That is fascinating. So by financially incentivizing membership in these local groups, they aren't just selling chamber memberships, they are technically accelerating the AI verification process for the entire city.
Precisely. The physical social network of the local business community is actually reinforcing the mathematical digital network. They feed into each other.
That is brilliant design.
Yeah.
Now, what about the micro businesses? You said they get sponsored, so is it completely free for them?
There are two options for the micro tier. Option A is the sponsorship pod. And yes, that is $0. You sign up, you wait in the digital queue, and when an SME funds a node, you get activated.
So it's a waiting game.
It is a waiting game. And there is a catch. You have to participate in an impact report. You have to actively validate the investment for the sponsor who paid for you. You can't just take the free tech and completely ghost the network.
Fair enough. Nothing is truly free. You have to put some sweat equity in. But what if I am a solopreneur and I do not want to wait? What if I see this AI wave crashing down right now and I want to be ready by tomorrow?
Then you take option B, the fast track. You pay $997, you completely bypass the wait list, and your AI business card deploys in 48 hours.
Okay, so you can essentially buy your way to the very front of the line.
You can, but look at the Civic reward attached to the fast track. If a fast track user submits a quick video testimonial and shares their AI search metrics on day 90, they get a choice.
What kind of choice?
They can either take a straight $200 cash rebate.
Okay, cash is always king.
Or they can choose a $497 AI positioning strategy upgrade.
So they are actively incentivizing the small business owner to double down on the tech integration.
It is pure behavioral economics. They want these micro businesses to be deeply engaged. They want them checking their metrics, improving their standing in the mesh, understanding the data. They are trying to turn passive local business owners into active, aggressive digital participants.
It really feels like they are trying to gamify the modernization of a local economy. But we do have to talk about scarcity, because whenever I hear about these civic pilot programs, there is almost always a manufactured act now element. Is that real urgency here, or is it just marketing fluff?
Well, looking closely at the deployment plan in the source, there are hard mathematical limits to this. Phase 1 is strictly capped at 50 SMEs.
Why 50 exactly?
Because 50 SMEs automatically funds 50 micro businesses. 50 plus 50 hits the strict 100 node target.
The critical mass we talked about earlier, the gravity well.
Right. Once they hit 100, the pilot phase is likely closed, or it completely changes structure. Because the initial gravity well has been successfully established, they don't need the exact same incentives anymore.
And the source also mentions something called a founding cohort.
Yes. The first 10 SMEs to sign up get founding partner status. That comes with digital badges, which is mostly fluff, but it also comes with locked-in lifetime preferred rates.
Which is definitely not fluff. If this becomes the new standard, lifetime rates are huge. And how many of those founding spots are actually left?
As of the text we are reading from February 2026, only 8 spots remain in that founding cohort.
So the clock is definitely ticking for the big players in London.
It creates a real sense of urgency, yes. But strategically, it also ensures they get the most forward-thinking, aggressive businesses on board first. The true early adopters. The leaders who deeply understand that the internet of 2026 is fundamentally different from the internet of 2024.
So let's zoom out here as we wrap up. What does this all ultimately mean for you, the listener? We've got a massive shift in how the world searches for everyday information. We've got a mid-sized Canadian city trying to anchor itself mathematically to avoid bleeding cash. And we've got a community funding model that tightly ties the biggest corporate players to the smallest freelancers.
I think the big takeaway here is that the era of the purely human-centric web is ending, or at least it is no longer enough to survive on its own. We have spent 20 years building beautiful websites for human eyes to read. Now we have to translate those websites into structured data for machine brains to understand.
That translation is literally the difference between being found or being completely invisible.
Exactly. The London AI Ready initiative is basically drawing a line in the sand and saying we are not going to let our local economy just disappear into the digital void. They're building a mathematical bridge between the physical reality of their streets and the digital reality of the AI graph.
And crucially, they are making sure everyone gets to cross that bridge, not just the massive firms with the deepest pockets.
That is the absolute key to the whole mesh. By linking the SMEs to the microbusinesses, they are ensuring the entire ecosystem survives the transition intact. It's a fundamental acknowledgement that a local economy is a deeply interconnected network. You cannot just save the top 10% and expect the city itself to thrive.
It's a genuinely bold experiment, and honestly, if it works in London, Ontario, you really have to wonder how fast other cities will start copying this entity mesh model.
I would be shocked if they didn't. The problem of economic leakage to AI reasoning engines is not going to stay contained in London. It is a global phenomenon. Every single city is going to face this exact same ghost town risk over the next few years.
That is a wrap on our deep dive into the London AI Ready initiative. It has been a lot of heavy concepts to process today. AAA protocols, entity meshes, Civic sponsorships, schema markups. But it really all boils down to one simple concept: relevance.
Relevance in a totally machine-driven world.
Exactly. So here is a question we want to leave you with today. It's something to just mull over while you're driving to work or doing the dishes later. If your local city's economy isn't actively building a mesh to talk to the AIs, are you about to become totally invisible to the next generation of customers?
That really is the billion-dollar question.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We will catch you on the next deep dive.